covering the entire Piedmont Triad and everywhere you are. This is WXII 12 News at 4:30.
Hey, break it up. Let's go. Let's go. Break it up now.
Tempers flare. Protesters and Trump supporters clash after the presumptive Republican nominee's rally in Greensboro. Plus, survivors of the Orlando massacre speak out and give grave details of what happened when the suspect started shooting. We'll hear from them. And an alligator dragged a young boy into water near a resort. What authorities are doing to find him. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Brianna Connor. Thanks for starting your day off with us. I'm here with Ryan Slocum. It's June 15th. How did we get to the middle of the month?
I don't know. 4th of July is going to be here before you know it.
Check the situation right here, Check the situation. You know why? Don't you get help?
Both tempers and emotions escalated after Donald Trump's rally in Greensboro yesterday. Greensboro police and officers from other areas in North Carolina had to break up a few fights. Some people even got in officers' faces, exchanging heated words. In spite of it all, Greensboro Deputy Chief Brian Cheek says their plan for tight and effective security was successful. Donald Trump's speech last night may have sounded a bit familiar. The presumptive Republican nominee continued to push for an end to political correctness, continued to call the media dishonest, and continued calling Hillary Clinton crooked. Trump also lashed out against President Barack Obama and how he has handled the massacre in Orlando.
And he was more angry at me than he was at the shooter. The level of anger, that's the kind of anger he should have for the shooter and these killers that shouldn't be here.
In an hour-long speech, Trump also reminded supporters that bringing jobs back to America is one of the things at stake in this election.
Still many questions this morning, roughly 24 hours after the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. Orlando, Florida police report 50 people are dead after a shooting inside a gay nightclub called Pulse. They say 53 others remain critically injured and continue to recover at Orlando area hospitals. Officers have identified the gunman as a U.S.-born citizen, 29-year-old Omar Mateen. Here's the timeline of how these events unfolded. At about 2 in the morning Sunday, that is when the first shots were fired inside that nightclub. Then Mateen is accused of calling 911 and pledging his allegiance to ISIS. That happened about a half hour later. At 5 a.m., SWAT officers made their move inside the club to rescue the victims who were essentially being held hostage inside. During that process, police did shoot and kill Mateen. At about 10 in the morning, officers publicly identified him as the shooter, saying he was from Fort Pierce, Florida, which is roughly 2 hours from Orlando. Following that, Florida's governor declared a state of emergency, Rick Scott making that declaration. And then at 1 in the afternoon, President Obama made remarks calling this an act of terror and an act of hate. The Orlando massacre struck a chord in hearts all over the country and even in our own backyard. People in Greensboro got together to pray at the plaza outside the Melvin Municipal Building downtown. Even young supporters came out to express their feelings about the mass shooting.
This afternoon, I told him what had happened in Orlando, and of course he responded, and we decided to come to the vigil tonight. And he made his own sign, and we read a couple news articles, and he decided what he wanted to say on his sign himself.
I put 50 people not okay, don't abuse them because they're gay, and I just thought it would be a good idea.
Orlando's nightclub shooting is not just the deadliest in U.S. history, it is the deadliest by far. 32 people were killed in 2007 when a Virginia Tech student went on a shooting spree on campus. Just 4 years ago in 2012, there was the incident at Sandy Hook Elementary School. A total of 27 people killed there. That number included 20 children. The FBI, for the record, defines a mass shooting as a single incident where 4 or more people are killed. And while investigators continue to search for answers and hope to bring closure to those affected by the shooting, families and friends of those killed are taking the time to celebrate the impact they had on the life around them. Some of the victims are being described as fun-loving, happy, and amazing. Others were remembered for their character and for making others smile. Police have identified all 49 deceased victims. The full list can be viewed on cityoforlando.net. Sadly, 2 of those victims had ties to North Carolina. 33-year-old Shane Tomlinson went to Northwest Cabarrus High School and at one time lived in Concord. He also attended East Carolina University, where he majored in communications. He graduated in 2003. 25-year-old Tevin Crosby is the other victim with ties to North Carolina. He's from Statesville and went to West Iredell High School.
We've got a developing story off the top. Federal authorities are getting involved with the double murder investigation in Galax. We've learned Richard Knopfsinger is accused of raping Alyssa Kinney and her 21-month-old daughter, Anastasia Alley, prior to their deaths. A United States Secret Service agent says 8 videos were found on Knopfsinger's phone. There's a young girl in all of the videos, and at least 3 of them, the agent says Knopfsinger is sexually abusing the girl. Knopfsinger was arrested earlier this month. He faces murder charges right now, but the outcome of this new federal investigation could result in more charges. Today, the man accused of killing another man outside a gentleman's club is expected in court. Sears Cobb will appear in Superior Court on several charges, including habitual felon. He is expected to appear in district court next month for murder charges in the death of Eric Pegues. Pegues was shot outside Paper Moon Gentlemen's Club last week. A man is dead after a confrontation with Rockingham County Sheriff's deputies, and now his father is talking with us about what happened. Bruce Burrows says he wants his son's investigation to be fair. The shooting happened early Sunday morning on Garrett Road in Stoneville. Deputies say they were trying to pull Todd Burrows over. When he stopped, they say a confrontation turned into a struggle. Todd was shot and killed. His father says police haven't told him any specific details. Listen to what he told us about his loss.
He was my future. He was to carry on where I leave off. He's not around. And I feel like my whole world has just been destroyed.
Governor Pat McCrory made an appearance in Mebane for a ribbon cutting for Moriega Foods. That's a company that makes Japanese candy. And while he was there, he was asked about the lawsuit from 11 different U.S. states against the federal government regarding the new transgender school bathroom directive from the federal government.
I predicted that other states would join us, and exactly what I predicted is happening. And this is not just southern states, this is states like Wisconsin joining in this very important privacy issue.
The lawsuit asks a judge to say that this federal government directive is unlawful. An anti-LGBT discrimination effort in Congress is stalling right now, and it's also stalling spending bills for the upcoming budget year. Democratic lawmakers added an amendment to a routine spending bill that would stop discrimination against LGBT employees by federal contractors. The GOP narrowly defeated that measure, also defeating the energy spending bill at the same time. There are 12 other spending measures that still need votes cast on it. Well, right now, police in Burlington are working 2 more shootings. The victim in the first one was shot multiple times yesterday afternoon on Tillman Street. That person was rushed to Alamance Regional Medical Center. No ID or condition at this time. Officers say anywhere from 4 to 8 people were in that area at the time, but they all scattered when the shooting began. Investigators believe some kind of disturbance broke out at the home just before that shooting. And just a few hours later, there was another shooting only about a mile away. Burlington police were called near Springdale Apartments on Caswell Street. That's where they found 21-year-old Jalen Ferguson shot multiple times. He is currently critical at UNC hospitals in Chapel Hill. Witnesses tell police the suspect ran from the scene after the shooting. It is unclear if these 2 incidents are related. Well, right now, a Winston-Salem police officer is recovering. A woman is behind bars, and there's a manhunt for a second suspect after an altercation yesterday afternoon. Investigators say Officer J.R. Mitchell pulled over a car at about 4:30 on Highway 52 near 421. The officer believed that he smelled drugs coming from the passenger side, so he asked that man to step out. Investigators say that passenger refused, and there was a struggle. At that point, they say the driver, Cheyenne Thomas, began to pull away. Officer Mitchell was dragged for a short distance, and the car ran over his foot. His injuries were minor. Officers found the car a short time later and did arrest the driver, but the passenger then got out and ran. Officers are still looking for him. So far, he has not been publicly identified.